Hey guys, how's everything going? This is JSer. In this video, let's continue learning Relay, and it's about a new concept called subscription. So yeah, it's very cool stuff and a little more complicated than we have ever covered the features from Relay. So what it is, to be simple, subscriptions allow us to wait a minute for a second. I forgot to close my refrigerator. I realized that. Okay. Subscription allows us a server to push or use WebSocket or use the server-side event to push some piece of data to client-side rather than we manually fetch or mutate. So that's what it is. And I have opened these two windows. You can see that this is currently what I've done in this TODO app. We can add one. We can add one to here. But actually, you can see that these two are now these two have some now discrepancy, right? They're not exactly the same. Of course, after reload, we have the same data source, so they will be render the same stuff. But what I'm wondering, want to do is to, when I enter something here, I need the entry to be reflected on the right side instantly. So that's what we want. So how should we do it? That's the subscription. So if you look at the GraphQL document, there is actually beside mutation, besides query, there's another one. It's called subscription. Let's take a look. Let's begin writing some code on it. So the first thing to do is close node modules. Yeah. And then we look at our GraphQL, here, GraphQL schema. We can see that type mutation, we have 3 mutation, and there is a type query, I guess, yeah. And also type subscription. There's no type subscription, so we add one. So similar to what we have done here, we create a subscription field. You can see that it's in the GraphQL schema. And then we add subscription. The subscription has the same stuff as the other mutation or query, but we have this subscription. In this subscription root, this is the root field, and we expose one, just like a new to-do, right? Okay, we got new to-do subscription, defining another file. We import it from the nodes. Of course, it's none there. Let's try to implement one. Okay, so I have actually have this cheat sheet in case I forgot something. Let's new. Okay, ooh, this should be capital case, I guess. This is the type. Great, now let's try to create one. This is the cheat sheet, and I think it should be similar to as before, as the other field. So let's try to create one. But here it's a subscription. It's not some GraphQL object type because we need the subscribe method here. It's not resolve anymore. It's not resolver. Okay, let's use this one. Let's use this helper. It's from, okay, ooh. We will see why this client ID is needed. It's from the GraphQL Relay subscription. Okay, let's close this first to make it, ooh. To make it bigger. Okay. Yeah, let's create it. The name is new to-do subscription, and the field, it's not field anymore. I think it has arguments and the output field yet here. Yeah, this is it. So let's add the output field. Output field. We can imagine that when we are receiving some events from the server side, we expect it to be the to-do edge, right? So that we can insert into connection instantly. So I think it should be a to-do edge here. and the type is the to-do edge, so I copy it. Oh, let's make it a smaller case. The type is, we have this before, and then resolve. Of course, we have the entry, so we do it as before, as what we did in the add to the mutation here. You can see that we have resolved it to a wrapper of to the edge and with a cursor in it, which should be where okay, here. Yeah, let's copy it. And yeah, that's it. And then we have this, we need to create this subscribe. So here it's a little bit complicated, but we first we just console log to do. We will implement that later. So yeah, now we have this new to do subscription. Let's see what the schema becomes right now. Subscription. Oh no, we need to update the schema. Great. Let's see if there is a subscription in it. Yeah, now you can see that we have a subscription. It supports a new to-do. It has input because we use the helper method. It requires a client subscription ID. This is very important because we will see that later. And then it returns us the, not actually return, but it says when the payload for this event would be new type subscription payload. And the type, it would be type to the edge. And to the edge is the same as before. So yeah, this is the GraphQL definition without the exact implementation, because we did nothing. We just logged the to do, right? Yeah, here. And this is the first step. We define the GraphQL schema, and then something interesting happens, because for fetch and mutate, we just a pure simple HTTP request, right? But now we need to send the data from server to client. It's something different. We need to use a server-side event or a WebSocket. So here we need to use another module called GraphQL WS. We choose to use the WebSocket this time. We need to in server. I'll just this is a cheat sheet. I'll just comment it out. Okay, the GraphQL WS, the module actually offers us this very cool stuff. It could first we create a WebSocket server, and it's listened to 4,000 the port, different port, and then we use this server on our schema. Schema is what we have defined in nodes and stuff, right? The schema, and then it just add this layer, add this WebSocket schema to a WebSocket network layer to this GraphQL server. So now you can imagine that it will do the magic stuff to intercept. I would say listen or watch the call of the subscription from GraphQL, and then just sends the data through the WebSocket. Right? I haven't understood the internals of it yet, but it doesn't stop us from learning the basic of subscription. So yeah, that's basically it. The GraphQL is a layer for query the data, and how the data is transmitted to the client side is a network layer, right? Currently, we're using the basic XHR HTTP request, but we could also use the WebSocket. So here we add this WebSocket to this schema and export it to 4,000. And so yeah, that's pretty much of it. So we now allow the endpoint, allow the WebSocket, and but our client-side code doesn't change yet. You see that in the query, it creates the environment. We create this network layer using this fetch query. Fetch query is just to use the fetch, right? Use the XHR, use the normal HTTP request But actually, the second parameter, you can see that it's the endpoint for how the subscription should be handled. So here again, this is the cheat sheet. I would just uncomment it. I just copied from the demo. You see that this is also from the GraphQL WS. Well, first we clear the client. Of course, we have defined it in the 4000 port. So this is the protocol, WebSocket 4000, and endpoint is GraphQL. So this is client, and then we define this fetch or subscribe. Wow, it's something complicated, but just ignore it. It's from the demo from the document. And then now this network layer, this function could be added to our network create here, the second parameter. So now we add it. This means that the query and mutation will be handled in this fetch query, or subscription will be done in the fetch or subscribe query. This function. But actually these two could be the same. We will see that later. Notice that now we have this mindset is actually when the app is loaded, when this environment is set it, actually the client side has established the connection with WS connection with the server side, with the I would say the 4000 the WebSocket endpoint. And this endpoint will interact with the GraphQL server. Just the connection is already done, but when we subscribe it, it actually means to choose the right events you want to hear. Default, there's a connection, but nothing will be transmitted to client. You say you want to subscribe to the new when the new to-do entry is added, then I need to subscribe to it, and the data will be fetched. So that is the general the overall picture here. So yeah, we add it, and in the to-dos, so we now we can just give it a try to see what happens now. Okay, I think there is something in our network here. Oh, the window is so small. Oh yeah, you can see that the WebSocket, the connection is already established. Yeah, and you can see that here the 3000. Why is not 4000? I think the upgrade. Okay, there is like a proxy there. You request for 3000, but it actually will be directed for 4000, I guess. So forgive me here if I'm wrong. But anyway, we set up the network. Okay, it's working now. Let's see how we should use it. Obviously, we need to subscribe the necessary data only when we are using it, right? So the appropriate place to use this subscription is in the to-do list. So here, when this component is mounted, we subscribe to this new to-do when new to-do happens, and if it is disposed, we dispose the subscription. When it's unmounted, we dispose the subscription. So let's do it. It's just like the community mutation before. So now we need to see how this new to-do subscription should be written. Honestly, I have added the cheat sheet. It's a little complicated. So let's just rename it to JS. And then I think this should be imported. Great. Let's see what's there in it. Okay, some error here. Yeah. Okay. That's because we have defined the client subscription ID in a separate place. Let's add it. We add a random string to this. We add this random string as the client. Okay, a client subscription ID. It's a unique ID for a different browser window. So in this function, we would call the request subscription from React Relay, just like the add to do, just like the commit add to do mutation here. And then the environment is the same. And then we add the subscription GraphQL. This is normal stuff, subscription, new to the subscription. And the input is new to the subscription input. Let's see our GraphQL. You can see that subscription new to do has this input, and it should have the client subscription ID. Yeah, so it is like this. And then this is the root, right? This is actually not new to do subscription. We move to new to do, I guess. The root. Let's see the GraphQL schema. Yeah, it's new to do. And then it has a to do edge, and then we can query this to do edge. So that's it. That's the subscription. And the variable, we pass in the client app site ID, and then we comment this out first. Let's say log updater. Yeah, that's it. And don't forget to yarn relay. Ooh. Okay, there's some error here. I think we forgot to rename this input. It's not new to do input. Oh, okay. It's still new to subscription input. Okay, now I think there should be an error here. There's always an error here. Yeah. Okay, great. Let's go back. And now let's open our app and then reload it to see what happens. Great. You see that to do is logged. It means that the new to do subscription, this is being called. Let's see the request. Reload it. It's actually in our WebSocket. We can see the messages. GraphQL. This is the WebSocket. Yeah. This now is 4,000. Okay, this is 4,000. Oh yeah. So this WebSocket is switching protocols. Okay, it's actually sent to 4,000 somewhere. I don't know. Anyway, it's on 4,000, and then you can see the message. This is init. And then, okay, init, and then we send the payload through the GraphQL. You can see payload is new to the subscription, and the query is subscription. This is what we define, right? Input this variable. Yeah, this is the variable, and type subscribe. So this is the operation. We send it through the GraphQL, and then GraphQL actually got it. This is to do. But we didn't do nothing, right? We do nothing there. Let's try to do something. The thing in that for subscribe is it needs to be an async iterator. Let's just write it. So async function is a generator, and there should be some args, and then we use yield here. If you're not familiar with the async or iterator, please refer to the MDN to see the details. Let's first yield something. Obviously, we yield something. It should be as a to-do edge here, right? So we yield like to create a new edge. add to do mutation, we can see that something that's like this. Okay, we do the same. Where is it? Here. We constant entry, create a new entry, the title. We just say, okay, some title, and then we unshift it and yield to do. Now you yield this entry, and now when this entry is yielded, it will be processed by GraphQL to this to do edge, and then we get this entry, and it will be returned to node, and as well as this cursor. This is the same as add to do. Let's see what's in it. You can see that we got a payload. It's next. It's data. The data is here. You can see that the response is new to do edge. Yeah, and complete. Right. This is the internal protocol of how the data, the format of the GraphQL data is transmitted through the network. And if we see the log, we can see that it's actually the updater and onNext is called, and onComplete also are called. See here, updater, yeah. So this is kind of like just a fetch API and get the callback, and the updater is called. And actually, just as we did in add to do mutation, we could actually send it to the store, right? Okay, let's try to do it. So I'll just commit it out. It's nothing special. Yeah. This time we have some slightly different. It's there's a build connection edge for the server edge, but basically this is the same insert edge before, and we expect it to work. Let's reload it. Some title. Okay, let's reload it. Okay, there should be two some title. This is connected, so some title. This is not. Oh, some error happens. Okay, and we will see that later. So we got some title, yeah, two title, and again three title, yeah. So this is how this some title actually is being added through the WebSocket. Something interesting could happen here. So now we could actually trigger this update when we add this new to-do, right? And then the other windows listen to this event could actually add to this UI. And we need to filter out the events that are generated by the same window. So that's why we need a global client ID, which is very important. So let's try to do it. In our nodes here, we just yeah, this is not cool, right? So what should we do is when we subscribe, we just set a promise to somewhere like okay. Okay, suppose that like two windows are subscribing to the same event at when some new to-do happens. When we really add to-do, we need to know the connections, like the two promises, and to resolve them all, right? So this is obviously the event emitter stuff. So like async sub to and async event emitter. And then when it is resolved, the next time it is called subscribe, and then we could add itself the callback to that event emitter again, right? So it will repeatedly listen. So listen to the event when it is down, and then keep it listen. So that's why we should use a while loop here. This is just for demo. Okay, it might not be the right solution, and it's just for demo purpose. So we keep listen. So await const the entry. Let's say await some event emitter. So event emit new to do event emitter sub. And actually, how should we distinguish the connections from different window? We need to access the client side ID, right? So it's actually in the args. You can see that the input has this input and have this client subscription ID. It's this arg0. The first parameter argument is the input. So dot client subscription ID. We pass the new to the event listener. This is here actually. We would I think I can do this, so I'll just remove it. And yeah, this is constant new to do event emitter. Let's just use emitter here. Yeah, this is it. When it is resolved, it means that we could yield it and then listen to it again, right? So yield this entry and then subscribe it again. Let's go to our event emitter. So obviously we have this sub with this client subscription ID. And also we have this emit, which is the event, right? Which is the new to the event. So for this event listener, we need to hold all the listeners. And we should make it general, but here we just handle a new to the event. So we don't need to keep track of the event name. I'll use the new set to hold it. It's not equal, it should be colon. When we subscribe it, it's very simple. We just listeners just add the array to this listener. The first one is the client subscription ID, and then the other one is the callback. So the callback is actually the resolve function, right? So we just new promise resolve. Yeah, this is the resolve. Yeah, that's it. This is the sub. And for emit, when we emit, we actually emit the entry, right? The to-do entry, and also who emitted. And this is the ID. And then we just fetch through all the listeners. Okay, object entries. I'll just delete it, so I'll create an array for it. No. For const listener of listeners listener if listener 0 is not equal to this, then we should process it. So listeners 1, we apply it with the entry, and then we would like to delete it. Oh, there's a typo actually. So this is the emit. So how should we emit? Obviously, we should emit this event in our add to do mutation, right? Add to do mutation. You can see here mutant and get payload. We set a promise, resolve it, and we should emit it. So after we we just add some timeout. Set timeout. Like 1 second. Okay, and then emit it. When it's added, we emit it, and it will be in this to do new to do. Where is it? Okay. New to do event emitter. It will be emitted, and then the promises will be resolved, which actually is in this async iterator here, a generator function here, and then it will yield this entry, and then after yield it, it will keep waiting for the next value. So and then resolve this, create a new entry. So I think this should work. Let's reload it to see it is good or not. Here, reload it. Ooh. It seems like our server is done. Okay. Maybe because, okay, I think something wrong here, because if we just keeping 4 of this, because after it's resolved, it will actually add a new one to these listeners, right? So it's not cool. I'll just create a listeners array from this listener. And then for listeners of this listeners, yeah, and then we delete it. So this is the right, I guess. Let's run the yarn start. Okay, load in. Why we can't get the data? I think what have happened here is I found that actually I forgot to return. So the subscribe actually is not a sync. So when I await, it's just a resolved. So this is a bad mistake. I need to return it actually. Let's try yarn start. Now let's reload it. Great. Now we have 2 windows. And then we try to add one. Let's see what happens. Okay, it's added. After 1 second, it's an error. Cannot find field. No such field. Oh yeah, it's new to do in the root now. It's not. Okay. Let's try it again. Okay, this window is a little bigger. Let's adjust it. Okay, 2, 1, 2. Oh, great. Oh, but actually, you see that the duplicate is here, right? It's not good. It's not good. But reload it, they should be the same. So that's because in our add mutation in JavaScript side, we didn't pass in the client mutation ID. I don't know whether this is the right solution, but this is what I solved in this demo. Let's try. So add to the mutation here. This is the argument. The first one is title, and also we could add this client subscription ID, right? So we make it a string. So we need to pass it down. And yeah, now let's see this GraphQL schema. Add to the input. Now we need to pass in the client mutation ID. And also in our nodes here, add mutation, we get the client subscription ID. When we emit, we should emit the client subscription ID get from the parameter. And then we in our add to the mutation, we need to pass the ID, right? So here we get the global client mutation ID, subscription ID, which should be get from import. So now it should be right filtered. Let's see. Add 1, 1, 2, 2. Wow, fantastic. And I think we should remove the delay to make it super fantastic. We'll just add to the mutation. There's a delay actually, 1 second. Just remove it and make it super instant. Great. 1, 1, 3. Wow, 4, 4. Fantastic. So super fantastic. So this is okay. I'll say this is the so far the most satisfying stuff I've done with Relay. Yeah, so cool. And yeah, that's it. Hope it helps. See you next time. Oh, so to wrap it up, first we need to implement the server-side support for this subscription, right? And then we need to expose this through the server with WebSocket or other server-side event, and then we need to modify our client side to subscribe to this endpoint. So that's easy. Oh, last one is thing I want to address. That's the I mentioned that. Okay, now let's take a look at the network. Okay, when we add one, you can see that it's still through this GraphQL, right? Yeah, but for the endpoint here, it's actually in the WebSocket GraphQL. It's WebSocket GraphQL. Let's add one. You can see that the message is through the GraphQL. It's just new data, and actually we could change it all to this fetch or subscribe, because GraphWS is working on top of this GraphQL endpoint through exposed by the Express server. So if we do it like this, things will get more interesting. Obviously, this goes the same for the other window, but if we just see the network from this window, actually you can see that there's not through the endpoint anymore, and the mutation is also conducted through the WebSocket network layer. So let's take a look at here, GraphQL. This is it. Yeah, even the mutation is through. Okay, what is it? This one, right? Payload add to do. Wait a minute. This subscribe, new to the subscription. Yeah, you can see the add to do mutation. So this is through this WebSocket. So you now understand better of why the environment is very important here. This one, yeah, the network layer actually is an abstract layer different from GraphQL. We can only use the normal fetch. Well, that it doesn't support subscribe, and we could use WebSocket. It actually covers all the network. Yeah, that depends what you need, or you can set it separately. Yeah, and that's just a transparent. Opaque, I would say. That's just opaque to the Relay. Okay, Relay just to care about the format, and GraphQL only cares about how to expose this data by enabling the user to pick the fields they want. And Relay, yeah, is on top of GraphQL to allow you to sync the data with your client and the server. And the network layer is how it should be transported. Relay doesn't care about that. So that's it. That's all for this one. Super interesting, right? I hope it helps. See you next time. Bye bye.